Welcome to ParadoxWalk podcast, specializing in paranormal activity, UFOs, cryptids, anything glitch in the matrix, completely out of the ordinary. It is July of the year 2023. This episode will be about a few stories of people hearing animals talk or their pets talk. I first kind of heard about this in this story of King Solomon, being something like a wizard or a wise man telling people that they can learn this, and also a danger and warning associated with it, whereas a person can be taught to hear the language of animals, but they're not allowed to say to other people what the animal said, or else they would die. Or it doesn't say why they would die, but that's one of the episodes I did on King Solomon. He got his own episode because of the stories about him are so wild. I mean, outside of the Bible doesn't go into detail about the supposed stories around him. So the first story here comes off of Reddit, and it's not necessarily a person hearing the animal talk, but in a dream they communicate. The title of this post is "Baby Birds Asked for My Help Through a Dream." So the way this starts off is they were supposed to cook a cookout for like a family barbecue, and they had one of those coal grills. The coal grills, when they went to open it to start the fire, they noticed that a bird had built a nest in there, and it already had eggs like laid inside there, and the bird was going in and out by one of the little air holes. So they obviously decided to cook a different way that day, and they wanted to leave the nest alone, and it seemed really protected, like if they left it alone, they knew the eggs would do really good, because it was basically like impossible for any other animal to get in there except the birds. So they just let the nest develop over time. So there was, I think, 4 or 5 eggs. After about a week, one of the brothers was like, "Hey, the eggs hatched." I guess they were checking on them every once in a while, but they didn't want to bug them too much. The birds obviously knew that the people were there, and they knew the people were checking on them, but they didn't really worry about it. I've had birds like that around my place too. Like, they know, I've had birds like make nests multiple times, like right within our arm's reach. I guess they just figure humans mostly leave them alone. Anyway, so these birds were the same way. Yeah, so he says the eggs hatched. So they see them all. Oh, there's 4 baby chicks. I heard that that's not true. Like, if you, for some reason, have to pick one of them up, or if they fall out, the parents do not necessarily abandon the babies. If you pick up a bird, or if your scent gets on them, birds actually don't have a very good sense of smell anyway. It's not like a dog or a cat that could tell, probably what you've done for the past month just by smelling you. Birds can't do that at all. They're not going to abandon their babies if you help a baby bird. I actually have done it. Some fell out of a nest. I picked it up, and I built a little box for it and started feeding it, and then the mom and dad was feeding it with me. Like, it's actually a pretty cool story. Anyway, everything was going along fine. The birds were getting bigger, and then one day, this person had a really weird dream, they say. "In the dream, I saw all of the chicks inside the grill asking me for help. It's like I was having a conversation with all 4 of them, and they were asking for my help to open the grill and free them. They were given the notion that they were stuck and that they couldn't get out. I woke up and was really confused about the dream I just had. It had been a couple days since I checked on the baby chicks, so I decided to see how things were going after having a weird dream like that. I go downstairs, go to the backyard. I look at the grill for a second, kind of hesitant because of the dream I just had. And I open it up slowly, then bam, all 4 baby chicks fly away all at the same time. I literally almost fell on my knees from what I just witnessed. Now it gets even weirder. The hole that the mom was using to get into the grill, I think both the mom and dad do that, right? Most birds, they share the feeding and responsibilities. Anyway, the hole that the mom had been using to get into the grill and to the nest was completely blocked up. It had been blocked up from the sticks and from the rubbish of the nest, most likely from the chicks moving around. Oh, so they locked themselves in. And that was the only way to get into the grill. That means the mom couldn't even get to them. They were trapped inside of that grill all by themselves, and the mom had no way to get in and help them. I couldn't believe what just happened. Did these birds really come into my dream spiritually and ask for my help? The dream was literally them asking me to help them out of the grill because they were trapped. There's a really similar story to this that somebody puts in here. He said, I once had a dream that there was a snake in my room while I slept. It's never happened before or since. I was so certain that there was one in there because I felt its presence in my dream. I remember just seeing it crawl around my bed, even though in the dream, it's like I was watching the dream on TV with my body still in bed. My stepdad came in after I just simply said one was in there. He caught it and killed it. I don't remember what kind it was. I think it was a copperhead. It was gray or black, maybe brown. I remember it was a dark color. There's something to that. Some people believe that there's a real fine line between dreaming and out-of-body experiences or astral, like leaving the body and coming back. Some people believe that that's literally what happens when you're dreaming, and it's not so much as science, whatever that is, says it is. But the other thing about these birds seem to be pretty intelligent, more so than I think they get credit for. If you think about it, aren't birds the only thing that seem to understand the concept of a car? They're the only things that jump away when a car's coming and go back when you leave, and no other animal seems to get it, right? Even, intelligent animals like dogs and cats. I mean, dogs and cats are like extremely, extremely smart, but they can't seem to grasp what a car is, but birds do. Okay, I heard a dog speak English once. This is another Reddit one on the same forum here. I read this, or I said this from memory on other podcasts a while back. So I found it since then, and this is what it says. It starts off, I know it sounds like a load of bullocks, but here's the story. One day I was taking a shower at my flat. Everyone was gone, and it was just me and my roommate's husky. I was in the shower, just casually enjoying the warm water, and the dog started barking a ton. At first, I assumed someone was probably at the door, so I got out and I began to put a towel on just in case someone was actually at the door. While I was doing so, the dog was barking more and more, but then the barking changed into perfect English, and the dog was yelling these words. I just want to be let outside. Let me out. I literally backed away from the bathroom door and exclaimed, "What the fuck?" And I ran outside the bathroom to see the dog barking with his paws up on the back door. He turned back and looked at me and started barking some more. I let him out, and I just sat there stunned. Does this happen to anyone else? Then there's some people that do answer. My friend is a vet. We thought our cat was dying, and one of the pieces of advice she gave us was to talk to him, ask him if he's ready to leave us or if he wanted to keep fighting. He perked up almost immediately after the talk. He stayed with us another 5 years before he finally passed. I think he visits sometimes, but that's another story. That's true. My old dog was diagnosed with acute pneumonia at 13. The night after her diagnosis, I lay on the floor beside her, hugged her, and asked her if she's tired. I told her she could rest if she's tired, and that's okay. She looked so annoyed. I knew she wasn't going to leave us just yet. It was another story 3 years later when she was in really bad shape. They were all waiting for my school break so I could be there when she's put to sleep. Yeah, that's a sad story. When I was really young, I had to be there when my dog got put down, and it still bugs me. I don't think you ever get over it. Close pets it's rough. But so moving this right along, don't want to do downers here. I was in a rush for work one night and I was looking for my phone. I was walking really fast around the house and I accidentally stepped on my cat's tail. He screamed, "Ow, fuck," and ran away into the next room. I stood there in disbelief for a second. He said it exactly like I say it, and he's heard me say it like a million times doing odd things around the house. Yes, his tail is fine. Oh, another person actually ended up saying like he heard something like that coming from his cat, and what's more freaky about it is that the cat looked at me funny for almost like a minute, as if it was worried that I might have uncovered a secret. I know that's what some people say, like there's some kind of secret language of animals or something. I don't know. A long time ago, I read a post somewhere on Reddit where a guy was inside his house and he heard a kid outside screaming, "Help me, I'm stuck, I need help, somebody help me." He followed this voice and it ended up being a bird stuck inside a car's grill or hood or something like that. For simple phrases like, "Oh fuck, I could see that," but what about full-on sentences? An interesting idea here that relates is a verse in the Bible, Ecclesiastes chapter 10. I'm going to start with the New International Version. It says this: "Do not revile the king even in your thoughts, or curse the rich in your bedroom, because a bird in the sky may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may report what you say." The Living Translation says, "Never make light of the king even in your thoughts, and don't make fun of the powerful even in your own bedroom, for a little bird might deliver your message and tell them what you said." English Standard Version says, "Even in your own thoughts do not curse the king, nor in your bedroom curse the rich, for the bird of the air will carry your voice, or some winged creature tell the matter." There's a lot of different versions of it, and some, instead of, like this last one says winged creature. Maybe it could be, maybe something like a Mothman or a gargoyle or something fly off, and like what's going on with this? It's kind of interesting that The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie, check that movie out, and there's a part where the witch tries to take over the world and she gets animals on her side, and one of the lines that one of the animals says is, "Some of the trees were on her side." There's people that have had dreams that they talk to plants and some are on human side and some aren't. Or the trees are angry at certain like world leaders and things like that. I've heard people tell me that, like that they've dreamed these things. So getting back to some of these stories here, I'm just going to read another couple here that are really interesting. Me, my mom, my dad, and my sister were trying to think of a name for a new puppy, and we went through so many names, but nothing stuck. Eventually, one of us just kind of looked at him and said, "What's your name?" And in the clearest bark the boy could muster, he said, "How about Ralph?" We all heard it. And every Sunday we'd find him on the back porch facing the direction of a church, sitting with his eyes closed and his head down. Looked like he was praying. He was a wonderful puppy. I just had this experience the other day. I was watching TV and the dogs outside started barking. My dog jumps off the couch and heads to the door, and I clearly hear, "I'm getting in on this," and then he starts barking like crazy. I have no explanation for it. It was cool. Also, my dog is the smartest dog ever, not biased or anything. I work in a vet clinic, but before I passed my exams, I volunteered at an animal shelter to get the experience. I was put in a cattery for a few weeks. There was a slightly odd kitten there who was difficult to rehome due to behavioral problems. He kept chasing and attacking his tail. One morning he was being incredibly erratic, and it was very upsetting to watch. He didn't respond to stimuli or food. He was just spinning around trying to catch his tail. I was instructed to feed him, put his food on the floor, and said, "I'm worried about you, tiny cat. What's the matter with you?" And as clear as day, he stops spinning and screams, "I don't know." And then he continues spinning. I was convinced that cats can speak like humans, but they choose not to. Before that happened, that just reinforced that belief. Something to think about. Maybe just some of the pets are just innocent pets and connect with us. And I mean, there's that same story of a dog that ended up getting into the house, and this lady was convinced it was a guy that was shape-shifting. Even though they brought the dog to the vet, the dog is checked out by a vet, and then they go back home and they find like footprints in the house of a man, and they basically are 100% convinced it ended up being a man, and they kicked the dog out after a while, or the man out, whatever it was. So the last couple stories here, I'm gonna go back reading to it here. Yes, it's telepathic. My dog was looking intensely at a squirrel. I asked him what he would do with it if he caught it. He gave me a look, you know the kind, and I heard very clearly and sarcastically, "Eat it." Some of these are pretty wild. For today, I had a couple others that kind of relate to this, but I'll probably put in a different episode. But yeah, shorter one today. But thanks for listening. Hope you guys are doing good. Thanks for checking out the podcast. The music is Downbeat 88. The opening track is called The Dark. The ending track is called A Moment of Peace. I'd like to thank my first Patreon, Roxy, and hope everybody's doing good out there. Click the RSS feed and subscribe and all that stuff, and have a good rest of your day.